What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski and back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And as you can tell by the video title, we are doing a tier list video, but you might be wondering what the hell are you seeing on screen right now. So this is a new format that I wanted to attempt to bring you guys for the tier list. Now, I'm not too sure if I'm going to be continuing with this format. I want to make a video on it, get your guys' opinions and whether you like it or not. And if you do like it, then I'll continue with this kind of format. If not, then it's fine, we'll go back to the other format. But I just thought that we might try out something different, considering a lot of the tier lists nowadays are, pretty similar. So I wanted to try something a little bit different, which utilizes a graph with two different axes. The top axis is the captain effect, and the horizontal one is the special ability. So what we'll be doing is we'll be ranking every legend on global in terms of their captain ability and their special ability. So if they have a really good captain ability, they're going to be higher vertically on this list. And if they have a good special ability, they'll be ranked higher horizontally on this list towards the right. So ideally, you want a character that has a good captain ability and a good special ability, which means that they'll be in this top quadrant right here. And this is where like the best legends in the game typically are, and then the characters in this quadrant are typically like the worst legends in the game. And then the characters that are typically in this quadrant are characters that are like some of the best subs in the game. However, some of the best subs in the game are still like really good captains as well. We're going to be going through that in this video. I would imagine this is going to be quite an extensive video, but I'm going to try and breeze through some of the lower tier characters just because, we already know what they do and they're not really that amazing. So first thing is first, the first character we're going to be going through is Whitebeard 6+. Now, I'm not going to be going through every single character and their 6+ variant, only if their 6+ variant is like a different character overall. So with Whitebeard, his captain ability is like pretty low tier. It's just a 3x captain effect under 30%, and you do get a boost above that, but just for the most part, it's just really terrible. And that means that, so just as an example, you can see that because his captain ability isn't really that great, I'm going to be putting him quite low on the captain effect for the tier list here. Now, his special ability is a 30% health cut, as well as, I think it's cooldown reduction for your subs, and as well as some orb manipulation, including block orbs. So his special ability, I would say, is like pretty low tier because health cuts aren't overly amazing, and aside from the health cut, he doesn't really do anything else. So I'd probably put him around about here. I think this would be a pretty good position. Now, we're going to be ranking a lot of these characters on here, so this is going to be quite filled up very, very quickly. Next character, we're going to move on straight away to Raley 6+. In terms of his captain ability, he's definitely got a better captain than Whitebeard, but it's still not like an overly amazing captain ability either. So if you are about the middle here, obviously that's going to be like an average captain ability. So I'd probably put him below average still, definitely a below average captain effect. But you can still do some pretty cool stuff with him because you can still run like mono fighter or mono slasher teams with this guy as your captain, and you can still do some pretty cool things. His special ability is really good utility actually, so I'd rank him decently high in terms of his special ability, definitely above average. It gives you like 7 turns of bind, despair, and paralysis reduction. He delays, I think, as well. So he's overall a pretty solid special. It's just that Raley is just kind of power crept by a lot of the other characters in the game right now. Next is going to be Boa Hancock 6+. Now, with her captain ability, in my opinion, is definitely worse than Rayleigh's, but I do think that it is better than Whitebeard. So I'd probably put them just about in between the two characters, and her special ability is not the best either. I'd probably put it just below average. It is a type boost and an orb manipulation, so maybe it's about average. It's probably just right on the cusp of being an average special ability. It's just that she is an okay unit in terms of sub usage, but it's just the fact that there are so many other units in the game that are just so much better than Boa. Like, there's no reason to really use her. And moving straight away to Sengoku, captain effect is probably on the same tier as Boa Hancock, I would say, and special ability, I would say, is also very similar to Boa Hancock as well. Probably a little bit less usage in comparison, though. I would put to Boa Hancock probably just below there, and this is where I put Sengoku. His captain ability, I would say, is probably on the same tier as Boa, and special ability is a little bit worse than Boa Hancock overall. Moving on straight away, we're going to try and fly through these older legends. We got Shanks 6+. His captain effect, I would say, is still quite low tier, but it's still semi-usable as well. And his special ability, I would say, is probably on the cusp of average because it gives you a full board of Psi Orbs, defense reduction by 100%, so probably just a nudge above the average rank is where I'd put it, honestly, because you get some pretty nice utility because not too many characters in the game are 100% defense reducers, and Shanks is that, as well as full board orb manipulation as well. Unfortunately, he's not AoE damage anymore, which is definitely one of the big downsides to him. Next is Log Luffy. So with Log Luffy, his captain effect, I would say, is probably the best out of all the characters here. Even though you might like still think it's kind of like a meme, Log Luffy is still like usable if you really wanted to use him. But his special ability is quite bad though. AoE damage is nice, but he's pretty much that's all he does. It's just the AoE damage, and one orb is changed, and that's it. So special ability is definitely quite low tier. I would probably put it on the same tier as Whitebeard, as in how usable it actually is in today's meta. The next character is going to be Marco. So with Marco, his captain effect is a little bit better than Boa Hancock, and probably on the same tier as Shanks, I would probably put it. But the thing about Marco is he's got a really good special ability, and no doubt in my mind, he is definitely on the higher end of the spectrum in terms of his special ability. So I would 100% recommend Marco to be on this side of the tier list, but his captain effect is definitely quite lacking. Next we've got Ace. So Ace is overall kind of a disappointing unit. Unfortunately, Ace used to be my favorite legend in the game way back when, but I would say it's probably in about this tier here, maybe a little bit lower, just above Boa Hancock. It is just a shame that shooters are just really bad right now. His special ability does provide some pretty decent damage output, so you can definitely do some kind of wave clear mechanics, but for the most part, Ace is just not a good character overall. Next we've got Sabo, who I think right now is probably the best unit that we've gone over so far. Captain effect, I would say, is like literally on average, because it's a 2.75, which isn't that much, but his special ability is definitely what saves him a lot. Having that special ability to carry over an attack boost into a following room that bypasses enemy preemptives is pretty powerful. And also the fact he's a free spirit booster, with free spirit probably being the best class in the game right now, or equal best class in the game on global. I do think that Sabo definitely deserves to be in this little area right here, but his captain effect is definitely what lets him down. Definitely there are other characters that we're going to be talking about that are much better free spirit captains in comparison. Next is going to be Mihawk. So Mihawk is a slasher unit, of course, and has a very unique special ability. So his captain effect, I would say, is probably just a little bit above average, 3.5 captain, which is pretty easy to maintain. And in terms of his special ability, well, he's probably on the high end of the spectrum as well over here, just because he's got a very similar special to V2 Dofi. It's not as good as V2 Dofi's, but it is still a very unique special ability that can help you just wave clear some pretty difficult pieces of content really easily. So I would definitely think that Mihawk is probably just being able to stay in this top quadrant here. His captain effect is definitely what brings him down though. Special ability is definitely one of the best in the game though, hands down. Next is Crocodile 6+. Now, because Cerebral are so powerful right now on One Piece Treasure Cruise Global, I would put Crocodile reasonably high up on this tier list with his captain effect. I'd probably put him in the middle of this quadrant, and his special is also pretty good actually. 20% health cut and a 2x type boost for his class. I think this is a pretty fair assumption to put him in right now. Just because of Cerebral and how powerful they are. Obviously you got Ace down there, who has a similar sort of special to what 6+ Croc has, but it's the fact that shooters are just way worse in comparison to what Cerebral are right now. Next is Lucci 6+. Lucci 6+ captain effect is okay, but Powerhouse are kind of fallen off a little bit, so I would probably put him just above the average marker here, just below Mihawk, but still on the average. And his special ability, I would say, again, is kind of like just an average special ability. There just aren't that many cases now where you need to use this type of special ability, but in the grand scheme of things, when you really look at it on paper, it's not a terrible special. It basically allows you to get nearly a full board of matching orbs for 3 turns, which is still pretty good, and it works well with his captain effect, but it is just a shame that Powerhouse don't really need to run a unit like this, because Powerhouse already have some pretty decent ways to get matching orbs, namely V2 Lucci, of course. So it is unfortunate, but I would probably put Lucci in this position right here. Next unit is going to be quick Doflamingo. So Doflamingo's captain effect is definitely on the low end of the spectrum here. It is just the fact that Driven are good, but you would never want to use this Doflamingo as a captain. Like, there's really no reason to. But his special ability is still quite powerful. I would say it is above Raley, but it isn't as good as Sabo's. I do feel like Sabo's special ability is far superior in comparison to Doflamingo's, and I do think that even though Driven are a pretty good class, I just think that his captain ability is extremely lacking. This is all just my personal opinion, of course. If you guys don't agree, let me know, but I just think that his captain ability is definitely quite bad. Next, we have got Jinbei. So with Jinbei, I would definitely rank his captain ability a little bit above average. I would rank it above Mihawk's in terms of what it does. It's a health boost, a damage reduction, and a constant flat 3 times boost. So I would think that his captain effect is definitely better than Mihawk's, as you're not conditional by tap timing, so that's quite good. And his special ability is quite good as well, full border orbs and removing 5 turns of blue and rainbow shield, so good utility, as well as orb manipulation is definitely quite good. So I would put him maybe on the same tier as Raley in terms of his special ability. It is quite bad though that fighters just aren't one of the best classes right now. Once we get characters like V2 Sanji that come out later on, definitely Jinbei would probably go up on the tier list in terms of his special ability, but it is a little bit unfortunate right now that fighters just really aren't that good. Next unit is going to be Corazon. Now, Corazon, if you guys don't know me and haven't been into my streams that often, I rate Corazon really poorly. I think in terms of captain ability, he's definitely the worst in the game. Now, people might say, you know, you can use Corazon to clear forest and stuff like that, but when making a tier list, right, you do have to take in multiple different factors to calculate whether a character is better than another character. You know, you have to take in their power, how much damage they can deal, their speed, how fast they clear content, and also their reliability. Now, in terms of reliability, Corazon is reasonably reliable. In some of the more newer content, I would say not likely. And in terms of power, he's terrible. And in terms of speed, he's absolutely terrible. So, in my opinion, aside from Buggy, I feel like he has the worst captain ability in the entire game in terms of legend characters. His special ability, though, is still reasonable. I would say it's a little bit below Rayleigh's. I do think Rayleigh's utility is much better than Corazon's, but Corazon gives you, I think it's like a 16k heal, as well as 3 turns of Bind and Despair removal, so the healing is quite good, and I think that it is still reasonably useful on Free Spirit and or Cerebral teams, depending on what type of team you're running, but still Corazon is just absolute trash tier. Next we've got Bato. Now Bato I actually rate reasonably high because he is a striker and a driven booster with his captain effect. And honestly, when you look at him, he's literally just an upgraded version of Doflamingo, the quick version. So in terms of captain ability, I would rate him probably just under Crocodile, just because Cerebral are so much better than Driven and Striker right now. And special ability will make it so that you can tank any one attack, and also a 1.5 orb and attack boost to his 2 classes. So I would definitely rank it close to Crocodile as well. I don't know if it's as good as Crocodile, but it's definitely on that same level as Crocodile. I'm going to move Crocodile a little bit across because it's hard to see the 2 characters together. They're so close together, Bato and Crocodile. So that's where I'd put him, very, very close to Crocodile, definitely. The next character is going to be version 1 Law 6 Plus, a really powerful unit that just got released. Captain effect, I would say, is probably the best captain effect that we've seen thus far on the tier list. And in terms of special ability, it's really hard to rank his special, right? Because it is very unique in what it does, but you don't really need it in a lot of pieces of content. But the pieces of content that you do need his special in, it is so goddamn useful. So just with that alone, I would probably put him on the same tier, maybe a little bit above Croc, probably just above Crocodile, just because it is a very unique special that when it is used in the right spots can help you clear the content so much easier. Next unit is version 1 Fujitora, who is also a driven booster and actually can abuse the V2 Dofi driven badge quite a lot, as with the special abilities or the sailor abilities, you can get a full border matching orbs every single turn. Now, Fujitora relies you on getting matching orbs, so when you're running the V2 Doflamingo badge, you can get a full border matching orbs, which gives him constant 3 times attack boost, as well as the fact that he is a 1.5 HP boosting captain. So I would say he's about the same level or a little bit higher than Mihawk and Lucci in terms of his captain ability, but his special ability is really bad. I mean, health cards just aren't that powerful or aren't as powerful as they once were. So I think right now he has probably the worst special out of all of the legends that we've gone through thus far. Just health cuts aren't as useful as they once were, and I think that if he did get a 6+, he definitely needs a special ability rework. I think they might give him like an attack boost, but his special ability definitely needs a massive rework because it's just absolutely horrendous. So next unit is Cavendish. Now Cavendish is not as good as he once was, once again, but he actually can abuse a friend Lucci captain still quite well. I would think that in terms of captain ability, Cavendish is probably on the same level as Sabo, just because of the damage output that you can use with a friend Lucci, and also the fact that with Sabo as a captain, you can actually partner him up with Luffy Ace, which actually could make him bump up. I actually completely forgot about that. I might actually bump him up. I think these two could probably get bumped up. Now, his special ability is still quite good though. You can still use his special ability to solo rooms, which I do think is actually quite powerful. So I would put it on the same level as Doflamingo in terms of how good the special ability is. I'm actually going to move these two guys up a little bit because I do feel like the fact that they can abuse Luffy Ace and also they can abuse Lucci respectively, it definitely makes those characters as a captain much better than running like double versions of the captain, of course. So yeah, I think Cavendish is pretty fair to put in that position. Definitely not a powerful legend that everyone wants, but it's still reasonably useful. He has his uses. Moving on, we have Corazon 6+. Captain effect, I would say, is reasonably good. I wouldn't say it's like a top tier special ability, but it's top tier captain. But it can still be used to speed clear content, and in terms of power, he's quite good. He's just not really that reliable, but you still can do some pretty cool things with Corazon, and I would probably rank his special ability reasonably high as well. Probably on the same tier as Sabo, maybe a little bit higher, just because you get 100k AoE through barriers, as well as a 2.5 chain lock, and extend orb and attack boost duration. It's an extremely useful special ability, and also the fact that he's a rainbow captain, and you can utilize this guy on shooter, striker, rainbow teams, quick teams, so many different teams he can be used on, including Lucci teams as well. I use him a lot on Lucci teams. Yeah, I still think Corazon is definitely one of the better specials in the game right now, though he will probably get power crept sometime soon. I do feel like the power creep is coming for Corazon. Moving on, we've got Kizaru. Kizaru, man, his captain ability is pretty bad. I don't care what anyone says. His captain ability is pretty trash. And his special ability is actually still decent. Full board matching orbs to 2 different classes. It does multiple hits and also heals a little bit. Still a pretty good special ability. But captain ability, absolutely god awful. Next we got Blackbeard though. So Blackbeard's captain effect, even though he is only a 2.75 captain, the fact that he still breaks game mechanics is still quite good, and you can also partner him up with characters like Lucci and also characters like V2 Lucci, and you can build some pretty cool teams, and V2 Doflamingo. So there's lots of options for Blackbeard, and that's one of the big benefits to him, is that you do have lots of different options. It is unfortunate though that he does have a pretty terrible special ability like Fujitora, giving you just a 30% health cut. The good thing about it is though, is it does go through barriers, but it's not as good as some of the other specials in this game though. It's just not that usable, honestly, and if he did get a 6+, I would hope that they give him a rework, because health cuts just aren't that good. I mean, people can say, you know, oh, there's these really cool teams where you get like Oko units just with health cuts, which is fine, but that's not going to be useful against every piece of content, and it's definitely not the fastest way to farm content in this game. Even though it can clear it, doesn't mean it's a good team at all. So health cuts are just a big downer right now. They're just not good. I don't care what you all say about them. Health cuts are just not that good right now. So next we have Akainu, the Strength Akainu. So with Strength Akainu, his captain ability is still reasonably useful, which is quite surprising considering the meta that we have right now. His captain ability is still definitely usable. In terms of his special ability, I think it's not overly amazing. You do get some really good AoE damage from it. He also is his cruise, he's basically his cruise type booster, only the 50 cost or higher. But his captain effect really just, it is unfortunate because he does not have a lot of HP because you don't get a health boost, and he doesn't give you any damage reduction. So Judge, so the funny thing is when Judge came out, Judge is like a straight up power creep to this unit, because Judge does what he does, but just better than what he does. So Akainu probably going to be staying here, might go down in future lists though. He's still okay, but I wouldn't recommend using him to clear content. Next unit to get released is going to be Zoro. So Zoro 6+ is still a reasonably good unit nowadays, a slasher captain of course, and I would rank his captain ability over Mihawk's right now, just because he is a constant 3 times with a 1.5 health boost. Now his special ability does really good AoE damage, he's a chain locker, and also a type booster. However, when you're the captain, you don't get the chain lock, but he's a 2 times type booster. So I do think that Mihawk, or Zoro, my bad, is up there in terms of specials. I don't don't think that he is going to topple characters like the actual Inthawk or Corazon or Sabo. I do think those specials are a little better, but still Captain Effect puts him in a really solid position in the top quadrant, so he's still quite good. Next we have Buggy, the absolute meme himself. Captain Effect isn't really that good, but his special is not bad, being a 40 cost or lower type booster. And when he gets a 6+, he's even better. I do think that the special ability is not that great still though, because the fact that there's not too many times you need to boost specifically 40 cost or lower, but sometimes you're not running a really legend heavy or raid boss heavy team, and Buggy's type burst could prove to be quite good. But there hasn't been any instances where I've had to use that before, but just looking on paper on the character, he does have a pretty okay special ability, but there's just not that many instances where you need to use it at all. But the next unit we've got here is Time Skip Luffy, my old friend, Time Skip Luffy. Now, Free Spirit, as we mentioned before, are still quite good, and in terms of Captain Effects, he does have a better Captain Effect than Sabo, which means that he actually ranks quite high, because Free Spirit is just so goddamn good right now. However, his special ability, man, his special ability is actually really bad. I would rank it like as to be one of the lowest right now because of Free Spirit and how they work. They don't really have that many issues getting matching orbs, so the special ability of Time Skip Luffy is borderline useless, which is pretty bad. So, like, there's not really much else you can really put him except for down here in terms of his special ability. And just because of special ability alone, if you have characters like Time Skip Luffy and Sabo, and you want to run one of them as a captain, I would honestly choose Sabo over Luffy, just because Sabo as a captain, yeah, his Captain Effect isn't as good as Luffy's in my opinion, but Sabo is a type booster which fulfills a spot on your crew, which definitely fills up, gives you more space to put in more characters on your team. So just because of that alone, I do think Sabo right now is a better character than Time Skip Luffy, but it still comes down to what characters you have, and, you know, Law is still a better captain. Law V1 Law is still quite good as a captain for Free Spirit too, but it really does come down to, you know, what units you have and what you can actually fit on your team. But Time Skip Luffy, it is unfortunate, his special ability is just god-awful. And next we've got Hody Jones. Hody Jones is got a good captain effect. He is definitely fast, he's powerful, not reliable though, which is a big downfall to Hody, but his speed is like, he's the fastest captain to run in the game right now on global, and just because of that alone, I would put him quite high up the tier list. And even if you're not using him to speed farm easy content, you can still use him to just clear some high level content because of the fact that he's a constant 3.25 and you get low cooldown, so you can just speed blitz the content. You don't have to stall at all. And in terms of his special ability, he does damage through barriers and a 90% damage reduction, so I wouldn't rank him super high in terms of specials, but I think just on the same cusp of a kind of usefulness, I think is quite fair. He's actually not too bad if you have to run pure shooter teams. You can run him as a damage reducer on a shooter team, and that still does work quite well, but Hody Jones I think is quite fair to put in that position there. Next unit is going to be Shirahoshi. Now, Shirahoshi's Captain Effect is probably just under Cavendish and Sabo's. Definitely better than Kizaru, I would say 100%. However, I definitely think that Shirahoshi is probably equal best special in the game right now. There's no doubt in my mind. Pretty easy, stock standard. Not really too much I could really say about that. I mean, Shirahoshi is just so goddamn good. Next, we have Usopp. Captain Effect is terrible. Terrible Captain Effect, definitely like bottom of the barrel. But in terms of Usopp, 6-star and 6-star plus, I put both of them together here. Special ability is still reasonably good. I wouldn't say it's as good as Sabo's, but it's probably on the same level as Doflamingo's in terms of usefulness nowadays. You know, 5-turn delay or delay through protection, as well as he does a chain boost when you're using the 6-star version. So I think he's not a bad unit still, not too bad, and he's actually got a good sailor ability too, which helps out quite a lot. Next is Inu Adachi. Inu Adachi, Captain Effect, I think is honestly the same level as Sabo and Cavendish, and special ability is probably just under Cavendish. I think that's honestly a fair assumption to put them there. The fact that Inu Adachi can use friend V2 Law, friend Raley, friend Crocodile, friend Robin, really powerful legends, so he can definitely abuse some of the newer characters in the game. Also 6+ Crocker, I don't know if I mentioned that. His special ability is like a buffed Raid Sabo, which is good, but not really needed nowadays either. It's still good because you can use that special ability to lower your crew's health, which is good for cerebral teams, and also it allows you to do lots of damage, which can still be used to solo some mini bosses. So yeah, he's still got a good special ability. captain ability is a little average, more of a leech captain nowadays. Next is Sanji though. Sanji's captain effect is, honestly, I would probably put in the standard category as well. And I think his special ability is definitely on the higher end. He actually does some really good stuff. The fact that he allows your team to deal 100,000 damage, and also the fact that he gives you some good amount of matching orbs as well. He only boosts himself as a type boost, which is the really big downside to Sanji, is that he's a type booster, yeah, but only for himself. But the fact that you get so many matching orbs and the wave clear is one of the most powerful things about Sanji. I just hope that they fix the mechanic where you activate the special and it takes like 5 years for the animation to complete. The most infuriating thing in the game to actually deal with. Next is Gear 4. So Gear 4's captain effect is probably on the same as Lucci's level, I think. Fighters, as we mentioned before, with Jinbei, fighters are not the best right now. And in terms of special ability, it's not the best still, but it's still okay. I do think that it is better than Blackbeard's because the amount of matching orbs that you get from it is pretty good. But remember that in terms of free spirit teams, they don't really need this at all. And if you're running a free spirit team, the most optimal free spirit team right now, you're going to be running Luffy Ace, so you can't run him anyway. And on fighter teams, as we mentioned, they're not that great right now anyways, and if you are going to run a fighter team, typically you're going to have Jinbei on that team, which allows you to get matching orbs as well. So it really depends on the situation, but you know, Gear 4 is kind of outdated nowadays. Next unit is going to be Eneru. So Eneru's captain effect is terrible. His captain effect is not very good at all. 3.25 max, but you have to get 10,000 healing in order to reach that. So yeah, definitely a big downside there. And the special ability is decent, but not very abusable, which is a big downside to him. So I would put him like probably on the same tier as Kizaru, because I think that NL and Kizaru as units are like just as usable as each other. They're just not that useful right now, which is pretty bad because I like NL, he's a cool character, but yeah, he's not usable at all. And then moving on quickly to Neko. Neko's captain effect is still very, very solid. I'd probably put him on Law's level, just because strikers aren't as powerful as what they once were. Well, I wouldn't say that they got less powerful, but just the other classes got so much better than what strikers are right now. And special ability is just giving some matching orbs, so I would say it's like probably the same tier as Luffy, maybe a little bit better. It's probably closer to Gear 4's, I think. Yeah, it's probably closer to Gear 4's level because he gives you about the same amount of matching orbs and he does some decent damage, but captain effect, definitely a really high tier captain effect. But yeah, those special abilities that just give you matching orbs, but he doesn't do anything else. It would have been good with his special ability if like he shuffled tandem and recovery orbs into type orbs, or like he changed all orbs including block into type orbs as well as make them beneficial. That would definitely make Neko an extremely good special ability, but at the moment, Neko definitely sits in this position right here. So next is going to be Magellan. Magellan, captain effect is I'd say below average. It is definitely a below average captain effect. Yeah, you can do some cool stalling mechanics, but he doesn't have a lot of power with his captain effect. He is not very fast with his captain effect. Kind of like the same situation with Shirahoshi, I would say. Same sort of thing. But like Shirahoshi, has a really powerful special. Probably on a little bit higher than Mihawk, or around the same level as Mihawk in terms of how good it is. Probably in between Mihawk and Marco is where I'd put him. The fact that you can just abuse it and use that special ability to just instantly kill stuff after a certain amount of time is very good. And especially if you're a free-to-play player, having a character like Magellan in your arsenal is going to be quite good, just because he allows you to cheese through the content so much easier. So I do think Magellan is definitely a high-tier character in terms of sub-usage, so it's definitely quite good. And next is going to be V2 Boa, whose captain effect is unfortunately bad because shooters are just inherently bad. But it's a better captain ability than Kizaru, though, I would definitely say. And in terms of special ability, it's still not bad. You can do some fixed damage, and you can also get some matching orbs as well as that. There's also delays as well. So it's probably just better than Kizaru, but not much better at all. It's probably around the same tier as Kizaru, but a little bit better. I do think that as a unit, as a unit standpoint on paper, Boa is definitely a better unit than Kizaru, in my personal opinion. Next unit is V2 Law, the striker version of V2 Law. Captain effect is only a 3 times unconditional with some healing. So unfortunately right now, strikers are just, as we mentioned before, not as good as what they once were. So it's hard to place Law's captain effect, because for strikers, he's amazing, but outside of that, he doesn't really do much. So I think I would put him in between these two guys. and he does have a very good special ability. There's no denying that. I think putting him in this position here is quite fair. It means that his special ability right now in the current meta is not as good as someone like Zoro, but in terms of Captain Effect, I think that it balances. It's not as good as Strength Akainu. I do think Strength Akainu has more usability than what Law does, but even if you do still have to run a striker team, Law is still not a terrible option. It's just for more of the more recent released content, Law is going to struggle against it, because being only a 3x captain that has to rely on Neko for a high boost or Lucci for a high boost is quite annoying. So it is what it is. Law just isn't as great as what he once was, and we've got Lucci next, V2 Lucci, the better version of Lucci. So Captain Effect is still very, very good. I'd probably rank him on the same level as Bartolomeo, just for his Captain Effect, because he can still clear content reasonably well, and special ability I would say is quite good as well. It's hard to place these characters right now because like it's hard to fit them all in, but I think he's around this little area as well. Like, they're good special abilities. He does healing, he does AoE damage, he does defense down, he recovers HP, he does a lot of different things. And for his own crew is quite good. You can utilize the character like Marigold to get a conditional boost just with 2 characters, and proc it with the captain and stuff. It's really good. Though the fact that Powerhouse just aren't as good as what they once were, similar to striker teams. But I do think Neko is a superior captain, but V2 Lucci has a way better special than what Neko does. So that's about it for like the old meta, and now we're moving into the newer meta of characters. So first off, we have Lucci. Now, Lucci's Captain Effect, put him all the way up here. Captain Effect is just god tier, allowing you to boost 3 different colors for a constant 3.7 with a health boost, and making 2 out of the natural 7 orbs beneficial to those characters is amazing. I do think he does currently have the best Captain Effect in the game. I don't think that there's no denying that. And in terms of special ability, it is actually a better version of Legend Sabo, the Psy version, because he does what he does, but for 3 different colors instead of just 1 singular class. So yeah, definitely a better version of Psy Sabo. Is he better than Mihawk's special ability? I don't know about that. I wouldn't say so, but I think this is a pretty fair assumption to put him in this position right here. A really good special ability and a really good Captain Effect. So next we have V2 Law 6 Plus, the Cerebral version. This guy is definitely ranked quite high. I would rank him definitely above the Psy version, or maybe on the same level. It's hard to say, right? Because I think it's really difficult. In terms of damage, Psy Law does more damage. In terms of reliability, the Quick One has it. But in terms of speed, that's a tough one. In terms of speed, that is an extremely tough call. I think they're about even in terms of Captain Effect, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. That's really, really close. And special ability, I think it is actually a really top tier special. The special ability is really good. I think it is better than Law's. 200k wave clear AoE, as well as removing a barrier, as well as a 2.25 orb boost to Cerebrals, one of the best classes in the game. Yes, I do think that he is in this kind of realm. I think those 2 characters are extremely close to each other in terms of how good they are. Free Spirit and Powerhouse. Free Spirit and Cerebral, definitely the best 2 classes right now, and those 2 characters being Free Spirit and Cerebral, they're very, very close together, and I think that's a very fair assumption to put them there. Next we do have Judge. Judge's Captain Effect is really good. Rainbow Captain, extremely high tier Captain Effect, although you do have a really strong condition of having to have 1 of every color, though the Germa team can really abuse that a lot as well. Now, his special ability removes 7 turns of bind, and also shuffles your orbs into high chance for Psy, as well as a 2x orb boost. So outside of his own Germa team, I don't think he's actually got a better special than V2 Law 6 Plus. He definitely doesn't have a better special than Lucci, in my personal opinion, but it's not bad still. He's still a really top tier character. 2x orb boost is still good. You can use him on any other team, really. You can still use him on the driven based teams with like a V2 Dofi friend captain, and you can still do some pretty cool stuff with Judge. So yeah, I do think that he's definitely top tier, but I don't think he's better than Lucci in my opinion. Next is V2 Fujitora. Now, he is slasher related, so slashers aren't as high tier as some of the other classes in the game. So I would probably rank him around here in terms of Captain Effect. He does give more damage taken, which is the big downside to his Captain captain effect, and also his special ability gives you pretty good damage output, he delays, and he also gives you full board of orbs for slashes, but he has to be the captain for the full board of orbs, and I think the delay is if he's a captain as well. So there definitely is downsides to his captain effect, so I do think it's probably on the same tier as a Kainu's for what it does, but yeah, he's got a really solid captain effect still. He does lots of damage output. In terms of how durable he is, he's not very durable, and in terms of speed, he's actually quite fast because his cooldown is really low. It's like a 13 or 12 turn cooldown. For what he does on that type of cooldown is actually quite crazy. So I think this is a pretty fair place to put V2 Fujitora. If slashes were a lot better, he would probably be much higher on this list, but it is what it is. I think this is still quite a fair place to put him. V2 Raley is up next. Now, he is one of my favorite units in the game, honestly, but the fact that his captain ability is reliant on being at low HP means that you do have to resort most of the time to a cerebral-based team. In terms of captain effect and what kind of usability you can get out of him as a captain, I do think that as a captain, he's probably on the same tier as these characters here, as like Lucci, Bato, and Crocodile 6+ as a captain. I don't think that he's in that tier above, but he's close to it. He's very, very close to it. I'd say he's probably in between. Now, in terms of his special, yes, I think that he is equal best special in the game with Shirahoshi, and I don't think anyone is going to deny that. Doing like so many different things, 200k damage, 3 times chain lock, 1.75 orb boost, orb manipulation, damage reduction, all fit together in one neatly tight package in V2 Raley, and I think this is a very fair position to put Raley in. Moving on straight away though, V2 Fujitora. This is V2 Doflamingo right here. Now, V2 Dof is quite polarizing. His captain effect is, I think, definitely a top tier captain effect. I do think it's maybe not as good as Lucci's though. The fact that he is only driven based and you have to run a full team of 6 driven does definitely lower his usability as a captain, which is definitely quite fair. However, his special ability, I think, is again a very top tier special ability. I do think that it is better than Mihawk's. It is better than Magellan's in my personal opinion. Is it better than Rayleigh and Shira? It's very, very close. That's a really tough call. I don't know if they are, but I think in terms of captain effect and special ability, this is probably where I'd put him. So he is very, very close to that top right-hand corner, which is, you know, where you want to be at. Obviously, you can see where all the top legends are coming in. Sitting at that top right-hand corner, you got Lucy, Judge, and Doflamingo up there. But as we move on to another character here, Frankie. Now, Frankie is a 3 times unconditional boost. As long as you have, you know, the certain classes, when you enter the dungeon, you'll get that 3 times boost. So, because he is Rainbow, that actually puts him quite high, and that captain action that he does have allows you to deal some really good AoE damage, which can help with mob stages. So I do think that he's probably a tier, about the same tier as Fujitora, and his special ability is an orb manipulation and a 2 times type boost. So because he is a 2 times type booster, I do think that he slots quite perfectly into this position right here. Maybe a little bit less of a captain effect. Maybe it's just slotting in quite perfectly right there. I think is a very fair position for what he does. I actually use his special ability a lot. He's quite good as a sub on free spirit teams, because he's kind of like a replacement for the quick rare recruit Kobe. He gets rid of block orbs, he does some orb shuffle, he's a health cutter, as well as a 2 times boost to fighter, shooter, slasher, striker, which a lot of free spirit characters in the current meta are those classes. So I think Frankie is a perfect fit for being in this position right here. You guys might disagree, but I do think that he is a lot better than what I made him out to be. I was a massive hater of Frankie, but ever since I pulled him, I've actually used him quite a lot, and he's actually been a pleasure to use, so Frankie's quite cool. Next we do have Robin. Robin is a cerebral-based unit, and in terms of captain effect, is definitely in this tier between, you know, these middle-class tiers and probably just the top-tier characters in Dofi, Judge, and Lucy. And I do think that Robin deserves to be in this, like, top bracket here. And special ability is very, very unique. Just negates all damage taken for that 1 turn. It's better than Bato's special ability, so straight away I would put her above Bato. But where does she rank against some of the other characters that we've already put on this list? Now, I think that it's probably safe to say that she probably has the same usability as V1 Law. So V1 Law has a unique special, we talked about it a little bit earlier, where you don't have to use V1 Law's special ability that often, but in the circumstances where you do use it, it is so goddamn helpful. And I do think that Robin is in that same sort of bracket where you don't have to use a special ability that often, but when you do use it, that shit is hype, dude. Maybe it might be a little bit more than Psy-Law, just because there's more instances where you need to use her special over Law's. But overall, I do think that she is definitely a top tier character and a real pleasure to have if you do have the top tier cerebral support for her. Next character is Luffy Ace, one of the newest legends to come out on Global. In terms of captain effect, free spirit boosting captain, definitely a top tier captain effect, no doubt in my mind. I do think it is better than Judge because it is not as restrictive as Judge, and I do think it is better than Doflamingo's because you get a high base multiplier, you get not only HP, but you get damage reduction as well, and also the fact that you don't have to run exactly 6 free spirit in order to get this to work. Additionally, the fact that you have the captain swapping effect means that you can get around so many different debuffs just naturally with him alone. So in terms of captain effect, he probably is the same as Lucci. Even though Lucci is way more flexible and versatile, I do think that all the really crazy effects that Luffy Ace gives definitely puts him on the same tier. Now, in terms of special ability, a lot of characters are already 2 times orb boosters. This guy already is that as well. He does orb manipulation as well, chaining type orbs into matching, and also he does really good AoE damage. So just because of that, I would put him a little bit further along than Judge, because Judge and Luffy Ace are both orb boosters, but in terms of what Luffy Ace provides in comparison to what Judge provides, I do think that Luffy Ace is slightly better. Both of them are universal orb boosters as well. Some people think that Luffy Ace is only an orb booster for free spirit, but the manipulation of orbs is the free spirit part. His orb boost is actually a universal orb boost, so he's quite good to run on a lot of different teams. So in terms of that, I do think that Luffy Ace definitely deserves this position right here. I don't think his special ability is as good as Lucci's, but it's definitely goddamn close. Next unit we have is Kung Fu Luffy. So Kung Fu Luffy is one of those really interesting characters that came out. In terms of his captain effect, I do think that it is better than V2 Fujitora right now. He can do some pretty cool stuff. As long as you're hitting your perfects, of course, you can, you get some pretty high damage output. And his captain effect, special ability, is really solid actually. I was really surprised when I read it. He does good AoE damage, 120 times his attack. That's the same as Zoro's. He does a 1.75 type boost, same as Zoro, but except he is a 2-turn type booster. As well as the fact that he makes perfects easy to hit, which is great for his captain effect, and he has the Inazuma special where he tanks any damage above 5,656 by a significant amount. So just by that alone, I do think it is a better special than Robin's, because you can use Kung Fu Luffy special to tank hits just as well as Robin. Obviously, it's not exactly as good as Robin, but he does a very similar thing, but he does way more other effects in comparison to what Robin does. So as a special, I do think he's a very top tier special ability character. And as a captain, he's so usable. He's a rainbow captain that can reach like a 4 times boost after 5 perfects, and you only have to hit 2 perfects and you get 3.5 times attack. Yeah, he's a solid captain ability, and a lot of people are dissing this guy, and I don't understand why. Currently on Global, he is a very top tier character to use to clear content, in my opinion, and in terms of special ability, still an extremely good sub. I forgot to mention he makes adjacent orbs matching as well. Like, oh my god, Robin makes adjacent orbs matching as well. So yeah, definitely Kung Fu Luffy has a better special than Robin, hands down. And in terms of captain ability, well, that's up to you to decide, but they are very, very, very close together, these two characters, Robin and Kung Fu Luffy. But yeah, if you guys have Kung Fu Luffy, be happy to have him. He's a really good character on Global right now. And the last unit, we've finally made it to the end of this video, is going to be version 2 Shanks. The latest legend to come out on Global, and oh my god, he is so much fun to use. Captain ability is super duper different, being a type captain, utilizing the fact that if you have 4 characters of the same color, he boosts all characters by 3.5. He also does a really solid health boost, and in terms of his captain ability, yeah, he's pretty top tier. He's pretty goddamn top tier. I do think he probably has the same top tier captain effect as Judge currently. I don't think he's as good as Luffy Ace and Lucci. but he's really close to that. Now, his special ability is also quite unique. He gives a 0.9 chain boost, as well as a type boost and a full board or manipulate to the color of you have the most of on your crew. So if you have 4 of a certain color in your crew, 2.25 orb boost, and a full board of orbs of that color. Now, that type of special ability isn't really good as a sub on a lot of teams, but when you're using him as a captain and you're utilizing his captain ability, you can definitely really abuse this type of special ability. So in terms of what it is, I do think it is better than these guys right here. I do think that it is better than Judge's captain effect, special ability though, and it's really hard to rank where these characters are placed because they're so tightly knit together. So I don't really know where I would put Shanks. I do think that he probably has a similar powerful special ability to Kung Fu Luffy, because they do provide lots of different damage outputting things and lots of orb manipulations and stuff like that. I think it is better than Kung Fu Luffy's now that I'm thinking about it, and Captain Effect is about the same as Judge, so this is quite hard to put, but yeah, definitely Shanks deserves to be in this position right here. But overall, I do think that Shanks as a captain is better than Judge, but it's really hard to fit all these characters together, man. Way too hard to fit them all together. Like, it's really hard to fit them together, but I do think that this is quite a fair assumption to put all these characters together. And that's it. That is my brand new format for this tier list. It is quite messy, and I don't really know how I can neaten it up, but overall, it's a pretty fair assumption of where characters are placed compared to other characters, and you can use this to just scale which captain effects are better and which special abilities are better. You can just look vertically, and just by looking up, it goes up in terms of how good their captain effect is, and then you can look this way to see how good their special ability is in terms of all the legends in the game right now. Now, obviously some characters can be shifted slightly in certain positions to get it perfectly right. I just wanted to do this on the fly because I think it makes it more engaging and you guys can just see my thought process about these characters. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this, and if you guys have any thoughts and opinions about this format, make sure to leave your opinions down below in the comment section, whether you like this one or you like the old one better. Let me know. I'd love to hear your opinions on that. And if you guys didn't agree with it, that's completely fine. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to smack the like button down below. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.